This lesson is going to happen in two parts. The first part I'm going to give you all the material for, and the second part you have to go and find your own picture. The picture I'm giving you here is this boy on a horse, and I've just went ahead and I went to File, Open, and opened it up from where I saved it. If you wanted to copy and paste it, you could copy and paste it, or if you wanted to open a new document and place the file, you could also place the file. Any way you do it, you just need to have it on the artboard. Now, I've got just a regular 8.5 by 11 page, and I've zoomed in on this kid. And this artwork was chosen specifically because it's very pixelated. You can see that it's a bitmap, you can see that it's very pixelated, and you don't have the smoothness of the vector shape. When you, with the selection tool, which looks like a black arrow, when with the selection tool you click on this picture, you'll see over in your Properties panel the option to Image Trace. Convert the image into a tracing object. If you don't see that, you can go to Window and you can go to Workspace and you can tell it to Reset Essentials, and your Properties window will come up. When I click Image Trace, there are a lot of options. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right out of the gate that high fidelity photo is your best option. That gives you the truest representation of this boy on the horse. Some of the other ones are less good. Let's take a look at technical drawing. See, that's not quite great. So if you like shades of gray, less bad, but the high fidelity photo is going to be the most complex thing that it'll do. And it still didn't do the most spectacular job with his eyes, but you can see the smoothness. So the difference is before, after. That's what happens when you trace out a bitmap and turn it into a vector graphic. It's not the most perfect thing ever, and when you do it, sometimes you wind up with screwy lines that don't belong where they belong and a lot of extra anchor points. But right now, I've got this traced as a vector graphic, but it's one solid piece, and I can't do anything to it until I hit this last little button that says Expand. When I click on Expand, then my anchor points become visible, and I can manipulate them. If you wanted to see your anchor points, I don't see them right now, you could either switch to the direct selection tool and it'll start to show you the anchor points, or when you still have the selection tool, you can just put your finger on Control and it'll show you the anchor points. But there's a lot of them. Look, there's anchor points on every darn piece of this thing. Anchor points all over the place. This kid's face has tons of anchor points. You zoom out, you can actually see them kind of blue. That's all the anchor points. Kind of a big deal when you look at it that way. But now that I have traced this and I have expanded it, I'm going to use something called the Live Paint Bucket. Live Paint Bucket is hiding under the Shape Builder tool. So I'm looking underneath the thing that looks like a ladybug, and I'm finding a thing that looks like a standard paint bucket. And I'm going to double click here and choose the colors. So you're going to paint this guy. I want you to paint the whole thing because it's kind of fun. You'll paint your horse, whatever color you want to paint your horse. Just go ahead and, oops, if you do this part right here, just hit Control Z. I painted the line instead of the shape inside the line. See, if I click here, it paints the leg. If I click here, it paints the tail. If I accidentally click right here on the black, it paints the entire line. So I don't want to do that. Just go through and paint the horse, paint the kid, paint his clothes, whatever you need to do. When you finish that, I want to see it, and that's half your grade. But go ahead and hold that for just a minute because you're going to get a second picture. I would recommend getting a line drawing. I've chosen a line drawing of a superhero right here, or you can get something a little different like a line drawing of a flower. I just typed in line drawing to my Google, that way I could get exactly what I wanted. Let's take this flower. You could copy it and paste it, or you could save it and open it, or you could save it and place it, whichever way you want to do it. I'm just going to paste. I just hit Control V on my keyboard. Once you get your shape in there, like this flower I've just picked up, you're going to hit Image Trace. And at this point, I'm going to stick with high fidelity photo because I know that that does a good job, but you can try some of the other things if you wish. What I'm seeing here is I'm seeing some gaps. I'm seeing gaps in these lines. So if I try to live paint, if I try to use my live paint tool, what does it do with those gaps, I wonder? Oh, I didn't expand it. That's my bad. Right on. It goes exactly where I thought it was going to go, which is outside and through those gaps. If that happens to you in either one of your pictures, what you can do is zoom in, switch to the direct selection tool, and move the anchor, move the anchor point that you need to move. Oh my goodness. Move the anchor point now to make that gap disappear. Let me see if I can do that a little better this time. You're basically going to fill in the gaps. I think another option would be to take the pen tool and just connect the gaps. Am I drawing? Oh, it's a invisible stroke. Let's see what that does for me. Now when I try to take my live paint bucket and I try to take some paint, it works. Okay, so I have filled in the gaps. Incidentally, if it tells you you can't paint, if it tells you no painting for you, let's say I'd like to paint this green. It tells you no painting, then make sure that you selected everything. Excuse me, I didn't mean to push that button. So if nothing's selected and I try to paint it, it may not work until I select everything. The easiest way to do that is to hit Control-A on your keyboard or to go to Select All up here. If you don't want to do that, then you can certainly take your selection tool and just drag a box around it. That does the selecting as well. So today, show me a fully painted boy on a horse, and show me a fully painted second picture that you used Live Trace to build. Okay? After that, you're done for the day, and I'd love to see your work.